This is Ciaran Gibbons speaking to Newport boxer Craig Woodruff and his trainer and manager Richie Garner. Welcome, guys. First of all, Craig, I remember following your career a couple of years ago. I was very impressed with some good wins, with some excellent skills. You gave some very good boxers really tough fights, which you probably didn't get the credit for. And then you sort of disappeared. Could you just tell us where you've been and what's happening now, basically?
I lost my head a bit. I lost my my love for the sport. I didn't want to do it. I wanted a breakaway. I had a son, so I've become a father, and so I just been working. It's family time, and I realised I got my love back. I want to do it again.
So, what made you fall back in love with boxing, if that's the right expression?
I don't know. Countless people telling me to get back in there. My dad telling me to get back in there, and then I had a chat with Richie, and Luke Pierce approached me as well, which was good, and started from there really.
Luke's obviously a fundamental part of boxing in Newport. He's part of he's one of the main organisers of the Newport's Rocky Project. He's always been a big time admirer of Craig. Whenever he's seen him in the street, and he's always said to me, you know, why don't you sign Craig? Why don't you get him back in the game? And I'm like, look, whenever he wants to come back, whenever he's ready, you know, I'm waiting for him. Christ, I'd love to look after Craig. I mean, you know, we very much kept apart when he was in Sammy's gym, you know, but for whatever reason. But he's an excellent fighter. He hasn't perhaps been looked after the best that he could have. He's had some very, very difficult fights early on in his career. His 4 losses come against Ward, Campbell, and 2 against Buckland. Buckland's an unbeaten fighter. He's out of the gym at the moment. Ward obviously speaks for himself, and of course Campbell's a gold medalist in the Olympics. I mean, you know, if you lost to those fighters, if any fighter lost to those fighters, I don't think it would be any great shame. On the other hand, you look at the fighters he's beaten, quality, solid fighters, people like Tony Bass, who he beat for the Welsh title. You know, you're still talking about top-level performers. All of his wins come against top-level performers. All of his losses come against really, really almost elite fighters, if you like. Maybe you might not class Buckland in that class, but nevertheless, that's only because his career stuttered a little bit. You know, but what is he, 13-0, 12-0, 13-0? You know, I mean, that's an incredible record. You know, he's always faced fighters of a very high calibre. What I would have liked is to have seen him mature a little bit, not necessarily against journeymen, but against fighters like Craig is facing on the 2nd of February in the Neon in Newport. A fighter who can test him a little bit, who perhaps learning fights is what he needed against tough opposition, people who can stretch him a little bit, let him express himself, but at the same time, learning fights where he can be brought on. And it goes without saying that Jordan Allison is a tough test for him on the 2nd of February. You know, he's just beaten Masha Dodd, and we all know his pedigree. And of course, he had a very, very brutal fight with Lance Cooksey, which left Lance, you know, with a very nasty cut, which has put him out of this show. And of course, he dropped Lance. And you know, I don't say that with any disrespect to Lance, only to really highlight the importance of not taking Allison lightly.
So, Craig, after your absence from the ring and absence from the gym, how did you feel when you were back training? Did it take a while to get back in the groove, or was it something you picked up straight away?
It come back a lot quicker than I thought it was gonna, like fitness-wise, because I was playing football, so I wasn't doing nothing. So I was doing a little bit of something, but it was hard. Yeah, I can't lie.
And what was it like sparring again? I suppose you can only judge a boxer by his sparring. He can look good in the bag, he can look good on the pads, but it's really the sparring is what counts. What was it like getting hit again?
I love it.
He doesn't get hit very much. In his first sparring session back, I won't name who he was sparring with, but I took him to the gym in Cardiff, and it wasn't here, it wasn't Lockett's gym, but I didn't expect him to do too many rounds, maybe 4 rounds, maybe switching him in and out, and I ended up switching the other boys in and out and keeping him in the ring. I expected him to do 4, he did 8, he handled it comfortably, and he dropped one of the boys with a body shot. You know, he's carrying real power, he's moving well around the ring. I'd like him to disengage a little bit more and stay behind the jab, because for his weight he's a very tall fighter, and I prefer that he boxed orders a little bit and stayed on the jab. But like you said, he does love it, he likes to mix it up a little bit. It's the way he's been taught from a very early age. You know, I'd like him to stay behind the jab a bit more, but you know, he's looked really, really good. The only failing he's got really, because he boxes well, he moves really well, he can bang a little bit. I'd love to work on his core strength so he doesn't tire quite so quickly, you know, when he's getting tied up and stuff. Maybe he's a bit naive with regards to his infighting, but he does love it. He likes to mix it up, and that's what makes him such an exciting fighter. That's why people like to come and see him, you know.
Is it fair to say, Craig, that you actually enjoy fighting? I mean, some boxers box for a living, some boxers enjoy the boxing, but you actually like just getting in and getting stuck in and having a good scrap?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know what to say.
I think it's a fair. Do you enjoy boxing more than you enjoy doing interviews like this?
Yeah, definitely. I hate cameras. I hate them.
He's very shy. He's quite introvert. Craig is, but you know, he does express himself in the ring. I mean, that's where he lets loose. You know, his life has changed considerably. You know, perhaps previously there was a lack of responsibility in the way that he led his life. Since he's had his son, who's a very bright young boy, Craig himself wonders where he gets that from. But
Nope, man.
you know, he's an exceptionally talented little boy. Craig worships him, absolutely worships him. And he's coming back to do this not just for himself, not just for his family, you know, but for the people in Newport as well, like he said, who've constantly been telling him, you know, you are capable of so much more. Please don't leave it there. You know, he's got a lot of fan support behind him, you know, but so between the fans, between obviously his family and, you know, his love for the game, he's massively missed out on it, you know, and I could tell that from the time he came into the gym. You know, he was absolutely itching, raring to go. I'm you know, taking him training a couple of times a week. We've got Luke Pearce and Joanne Berendi, part of the Newport's Rocky project, who are giving up a lot of their personal time. Luke is in the RAF. He knows all about PT and stuff like that. And you know, his methods of training have moved on a little bit insofar as there's a more technical side, a more scientific side to his training now. Something a bit more sport specific. We're working on fast twitch muscle exercises, core strength. As opposed to perhaps the old school training that he was getting with Sammy, which has got a place in boxing, of course it has. But you know, we're working on perhaps some other things now just to enhance him as a fighter, and he's responded really well, and that's shown in his sparring. More recently, he's been down at Lockett's gym doing a bit of sparring. You know, we've had him up Grange ABC sparring. You know, there's plenty of places in Wales he can go, and we've been taking him around, and the response has been fantastic, and he's really maturing as a fighter, and I hope we see that on the 2nd of February.
As Richie mentioned there, Craig, the guy you're fighting on the 2nd of February is not a journeyman. He's probably there to win. He's probably looking at your record and thinking, you know, this is a guy I can get a win against. He obviously, when he thinks he can get a win, he can get a win. Is this the type of opponent you need to get excited about to sort of drive you on?
Yeah, well, they're writing me off. Like, there's the pace fight all over again, just writing me off, saying I'm going to lose. So alright, see what happens, don't we? Like,
There's no doubt they're writing him off. There's been some negotiations in relation to Ellison, and I've been told in no uncertain terms, you know, we don't see this as a losing fight, we're coming to win. Craig's been out for a long time. You know, he had a points win over Naheem Chowdhury in his comeback fight, which was more of a fight to shake off the ring rust more than anything else. But they definitely think that they're here with an opportunity to win, and make no mistake, because I've been told over the phone by his manager, by his trainer, we're coming and we're going to take this.
Craig, do you like proving people wrong? Is this an opportunity to sort of throw egg in people's face?
Yeah, shut their mouths, does my head in. I'm quiet, I don't say nothing bad about no one, but...
Do you like sort of your actions speak louder than words, to use the cliche?
Yeah. Newport boy,
Rich, you're obviously Craig's manager and a confidant and helping guide his career. I mean, where would you like to see Craig go in the next 12, 18 months or so?
With the talent that Craig's got, don't get me wrong, he's 26 years of age. You know, I think he was brought along too quickly. I'm not going to make the same mistake. This is a step-up fight. It'll tell us where he's at, not just in respect of whether he wins or whether he loses, but how he performs. And from my perspective, looking at the long-term plan, obviously the first step is to get him a British title shot. You know, he's been in there with guys who've had those opportunities and done really well. Guys who've had belts, guys who've got belts. You know, he hasn't been eclipsed by those guys. What makes him any different from anybody else? The only thing that makes him different is the fact that he's fought on the road. He's fought at a higher level of opposition. He hasn't really had the opportunities to have those learning fights and to bring himself on to enhance his record. And you know, I would say in the space of 18 months, you know, maybe 2 years, I want to be pushing for that British title. I want him to fight for it, and you know, I would hope that he wins it, because he's got the level of talent that I would expect to achieve those kind of levels. This sport, you know, it's a cliche, but people talk about levels all the time. That's where I pitch him at minimum, if he achieves what he's capable of.
So, Craig, just to wrap it up, what type of fight can the fans expect from you on the 2nd of February back in Newport?
So, what do you reckon? A good one?
I think that, you know, what I would like to see from Craig, you know, perhaps tactically I'm giving things away here. I'd like to see him break up Jordan early, stay behind his jab, make him a little bit weary, put him in a position where he realises he doesn't fancy the job, and then take him out between 4 and 6. That's what I'd love to see. Whether we'll see that, I don't know. Let's see if he listens.
Okay, thank you guys. Thank you for your time, Craig and Richie, and look forward to seeing you both on Saturday night.